the richest people in the world are those with the most things that money cannot buy. What makes a person truly rich? These people had no car, they had no house, they had very little money to their name, yet I believe they are the richest people I have ever met. Let me explain. Here's the setting: the country of Bolivia, 2015. A few friends and I had been volunteering just outside of a small town in a rainforest region of the country. It was wet, humid, rained every single day. A friend of ours hits us up and says, "Hey, I can use help with this construction project that I have going on the other side of the river in this other town." We were on vacation from our duties during that time, and so we didn't have a lot planned. So he said, "Sure, why not? We'll help you out." So the next morning we go into town, we purchase supplies, we load those supplies onto a truck, we load the truck onto a boat, and we cross the river. On the other side of the river, we drive past the main town with all the small shops and the restaurants, and we hit this road that takes us away from the noise and into a more humble community. The houses were simpler, there were more livestock than cars. Dogs and chickens were running around, kids were running around with their flip-flops playing soccer. Then the truck made a right turn into this plot of land, and coming out to greet us, smiling, was this elderly couple. We got down from the truck and we kissed the lady on the cheek, and then the man came and extended his arms toward us, and we embraced him in this kind of awkward half hug. Right in the middle of the property was the concrete foundation of our friend's construction project. But I looked around the rest of the area. At the front, you could almost miss it, was this makeshift shower. The faucet was supported by this wooden post, and at the base, resting on a small rock, was a bar of soap. To the right, there was a large tree providing a ton of shade, and there were a couple people there. I think they were family members of the elderly couple. They were there eating fruit. To the back, there were a couple tents that were almost hidden by the tall grass and some small trees, and you could tell by the grass growing around the tents that they had been there for a while. The tents weren't just set up for people camping out over the weekend. We knew that there were some cows present, not just because we could hear them mooing in the distance, but also because the smell was blowing in our direction. And off to the back left corner, there was a small field that had been tilled. The ground had been tilled to grow some type of crop. I can't remember what. And next to the small field was this structure with a worn blue tarp, the outhouse. And directly to our left was this humble structure. There was a small tree with 3 other wooden posts to act as the corners of, I think, like this 8 by 8 foot structure. There was a single zinc sheet as the roof, and the structure was closed off on 2 sides, one side by a larger zinc sheet and the other side by wooden boards and blankets. And underneath this makeshift structure with 2 sides exposed to the elements was the couple's bed. Then I looked back to the concrete foundation in the middle of the property. You know why we were there? We were there to build this elderly couple a house. Their first house ever. And you know the friend who hit us up and asked for help? The elderly couple's son. Their son who had studied architecture at university and was using his resources to raise support to build his parents their first house ever. And so for the next few days of vacation, and even on and off for the next few months, my friends and I, we would cross the river to help out our friend build a house for his parents. And every time we would work, the lady of the house, our friend's mother, would feed us. There were maybe 12 of us. My friends, myself, the elderly couple, their 4 adult children, and one of their grandchildren. And we would all congregate around that 8 by 8 foot makeshift structure near their bed, and we would sit on the ground or sit on a log, 1 pot of soup, 1 pot of rice, all cooked over a fire. And there was always enough food to go around. What impressed me the most with this couple wasn't just their simple living. It was the fact that they were content with life. They didn't have a lot of material things. I mean, they went to the bathroom in an outhouse that had millions of maggots inside. And believe me, I saw with my own eyes because I went to the bathroom in that outhouse. They didn't have a lot of things, yet here's what they did have. They had solid health, they had a strong community to support them, they had faith in God, and they had peace with life. And they had their family. They were surrounded by their 4 adult children and grandchildren who were all pursuing their own academic and career goals, yet who still had the time to come to their property and build a house for them. What more could they really ask for? There's this philosopher, entrepreneur, author from Zimbabwe named Matshona Dhliwayo, and he writes on life lessons and wisdom. In one of his writings, he says, "The richest people in the world are those with the most things that money cannot buy." To the outsider looking in, this elderly couple in Bolivia didn't have a lot of things. In fact, in the United States, we would definitely put them well below the poverty line. But every time I encountered them, they were so content with life, joyful, happy, surrounded by their family, thanking God for good health, at peace in life. Those are things that no amount of money or fame can afford. I believe that everything we do in life should point toward enhancing and strengthening our relationships in life. And I learned that from this couple. The way they raised their family, the values they instilled within their children. Sometimes I believe we pursue things in life that distract us from what really matters. And even worse, I think we put so much effort, energy, and time pursuing things that don't matter at all. I'm not that old, but I've met a ton of people in life, and I can tell you that some of the most content, down-to-earth people I have ever met, both here in the US and internationally, are people who aren't in pursuit of life's comforts, not in pursuit of money or societal status. They are people who have a present community. They're people who don't have a lot, but are so thankful to God even for the little things. And they're people who have filled their lives with loved ones and with values that really add meaning to their life, something that money and fame and status can never afford. So I pose this question again to all of us. What makes you truly rich? I'll see you in the next video. Take care.